relationship, that they've already seen the weapon.
You see the weapon. You see the weapon. Both officers see the weapon.
And as he turns, they became concerned for their safety.
At least one officer.
At least one officer. And he fires twice, misses one, hits him once in the flank. And then Mr. McClain goes about another.
I don't think the officer knows if he shot or not.
Right, I'm gonna get to that. So then Mr. McClain goes about another 50 yards and falls.
Goes about 40 or 50 yards and tosses the gun.
I'm sorry, 40 or 50 yards, tosses the gun.
There's another 20.
Goes another 20.
And then either
falls or drops. And then when police realize, they may not have realized originally he'd been shot. When they realize he's been shot, they call for assistance.
within 15 seconds, the shots fired.
And render aid, and when they render aid, and then that aid comes within about 5 minutes. But at any point, when he turned, or when he shifted, or when he ran, did he reach for the weapon after the initial contact, you know what I mean?
You could see him either holding or reaching for it.
But it could have been his waistband at the same time.
It was, you could see the weapon in his waistband.
Right, and he's reaching in that direction.
So he's running, and he has it in his hand, and he's running with it in his hand.
Oh, so he's running with it in his hand.
Running in his hand. And so, if you're the officer, you might get something like this. And so this is what we're trying to figure out, is that.
Okay.
So our discussion here is going to be, our community discussion should be switched from no gun, shot in the back, to the point is, we need something more to understand why he's shot and should he have shot.
Did he ever train the gun on the pursuing officer?
Didn't get a chance.
Never had if he was, he never had that opportunity. That's why the officer likely fired when you look at his statement.
And the gun could be some type of jury-rigged hybrid.
I'm going to guess, look how easy it broke apart. It's a real weapon.
Right.
It's a real weapon, and this thing may be a ghost gun.
Which is, just define that for us.
Where you have a part of the gun that you may obtain the bottom part, and the top part may not have any serial number, or in fact, is stolen from somewhere. You put two guns together. So we're probably going to guess this is likely a ghost gun. And when you write about ghost guns, you do a little research.
While fleeing the officers, video evidence captured by a local surveillance system indicated that the individual had thrown his firearm across Raymond Avenue to the west side of the street. Furthermore, a witness provided a voluntary and recorded statement confirming they were within close proximity at the time of this incident, and they saw the individual who was running from the police throw the firearm. The loaded firearm was recovered near the west curb of Raymond Avenue, adjacent to La Pintoresca Park. No other officers discharged their weapons during the incident, nor does it appear that the individual discharged any rounds from his firearm. The recovered weapon was not registered and had been assembled from different manufacturer parts with different serial numbers. The weapon was not legally assembled nor legally possessed under California's gun laws.
Here's the one thing that I want you to observe for yourself. See this for yourself. Look at the footage for yourself, and here's what you'll see. You'll see the camera of an officer walking northbound on the east side of Raymond. And as he's walking, shining his light, if you look ahead of him, you'll see a SUV police car parked on the same side of the street that he's on. You'll see someone cross the light and get back into the SUV right where the gun is to be found. What are they doing there? As they pull off, you will see the officer walking northbound signal this truck with his flashlight. What was that about? And after he signaled him, then the gun was found right where the SUV had been parked. Now, is that a coincidence? Let your inner mind tell you, and let it tell you the truth. They were planting the gun so they could cover up their wrongdoings. That made the wrongdoings compounded. It was already bad enough that they shot this young man in the back. Now they're going to conspire to plant a gun and play like he had a gun on him. How wrong can you get? Two wrongs don't make a right. At any rate, I want you to, don't believe me, look closely at the footage for yourself. Believe your eyes, though, because you'll see what I just told you. Don't believe the lies, and get up and stand up.
As the officer completed this journey down Raymond, you will also identify from the timer on the body cam that the officer's body cam captured that there was no gun in the space indicated on their exhibit or evidence list near or in front of La Pinaresca Park. Each one of these clips will show various times in between a 2 to 3 minutes time period where there's no gun in the area, as indicated by arrows, that suggests that a gun was placed, that the officers planted this gun after they had picked it up.
As the individual did look at him, and so the officer fired likely because he was worried the individual was probably going to turn to fire at him. We are part of what has occurred. We were the officers that shot that bullet that took their son's life. We are responsible and accountable for that event that happened.
And what you'll see moving forward on this video is an officer with the last 3 numbers of 306. We will call him officer number 2. What he is showing is that he's walking up on the same side as officer number 1, and the timer shows that his time was after officer number 1. He approaches the same gun that the first officer passed, and this officer picks the gun up, and he continues to walk northbound. In the original version that's with the website, Pasadena website, the officer was asked, was that it? And he said no. He continues to walk up northbound as though he's continued to look in the street instead of near the residents' homes. And then you'll see that he raised his hand right above the camera as though he's putting something in his pocket. This video is being provided so that you, the viewer, can truly see that there is some form of corruption and conspiracy to carry out the cover-up in the Anthony McClain's investigation. What you will see at the end of the video is a slower version of the officer's vehicle driving out of a contained crime scene while there's some type of message or signal being communicated between the officers as the officer shines a light on a police SUV van driving through a contained crime scene. There was no other vehicle that had driven through the crime scene once it was contained, and certainly not within the time period of these 2 officers identifying the gun with officer number 1 and then with officer number 2 picking up the gun.